Give y'all a little quick tour of the garden, how it's going so far. Here's a couple of rows of onions. And over here's two different kinds of bush beans. I think that's a Roma and a Blue Lake. All these cages here are tomatoes. They're starting to come along pretty good. And these are a lot of hybrids here. Heirlooms over here. And here's our beans. Got a lot of white half runners in here. That's a southern favorite. And the fancy French and the Kentucky blue. I think there's one more kind of a pole bean too. And over here we got two rows of corn, sweet corn, Silver Queen. And those cages, well, let me go on around here. Alright, these cages here, the cucumbers are planted. They'll grow up the cages and that'll help make them nice and straight and keep the worms out of them. I think we've got about 5 or 6 varieties of cucumbers. This is eggplant and sweet pepper. Then just these little ones just now coming up is the okra. It's got a long way to go yet on it. There's another row of different kind of bush bean we're growing this year. Sweet potatoes, and you see those socks hanging there. Those are to keep the deer out. They dip them in this stuff. It's real smelly, so we got smelly socks hanging in over the sweet potatoes. That'll keep the deer from eating them. All that there is winter squash, butternut, spaghetti, acorn. It's a good little patch of that. Alright, this section here was our second planting, and we just planted that. We planted more beans and squash. They'll be coming in probably in August. That's a row of beets, and there's some Swiss chard in there. Then that whole section over there, it's nothing but potatoes. There's 3 different varieties of potatoes planted. And over here in this garden is our little cabbage patch. And then there's some kale over there and some carrots. And I think a little bit more beets, a different variety over there. Now this little garden has another bush bean there. Some new ones we're trying this year. That's our experimental row. And then this whole section here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of summer squash. I think we've got, I don't know, I think around 8 or 9 varieties. We're trying a Middle Eastern squash. That's a new one this year called Alexandria. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. And then all in the background there, those are all blueberry bushes. And there's a little close-up of a zephyr squash. It's kind of two-tone. You see the tip of it's kind of green. That's the little zephyr. That's the first ones of the season. They're just starting to come on, so maybe in another week or so. Well, it probably won't even take a week. We'll have some. I think I saw a little yellow. Yeah, there's a little yellow one over there. So we got the summer squash coming pretty soon. This little section right here in front of the garden is Mama's little herb garden. I think she's got about 12, maybe 12 or 14 varieties of fresh herbs growing. Now that you see where I do all my work, I'll show you where the kids spend their time. They like playing in this creek here. It runs around the edge of the garden. You can see it right over there. There's a tire swing hanging. And so they spend most of their time playing in the creek and swinging while we're out here working. And sometimes I do get on it when I get hot, and I swing a little myself, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, but yeah, there's where they play. And I'll show you this right here. So you can see there's a big difference in some of the plants. They look a lot bigger and then some smaller. Alright, that's what we had to replant because this is what the groundhog eat. All that you see that's the little is what was replanted. So that groundhog, he had him a good dinner. Actually, there were 6 of them. We killed 6. So, but we did replant, so I guess that's another little later harvest will come on. Now this is another area on around. This is where the kids like to go fishing. The older boys, older ones, they fish here. My dad actually, he stocked this little deep part here before the waterfall when they first moved over here, but a heron came and ate all of his trout out of it that he'd stocked. But it's real pretty right through here, the rocks, moss growing up on the rocks. And Mama had put a picnic table down here. We hadn't used it in a while though. But over here is where I got my mushroom logs. This is shiitake. And then over there, leaning up against that tree, is a lion's mane. It's supposed to taste like lobster. I hadn't ever got one off of it yet, but got one a couple of times. It just didn't get big enough before it dried up. Alright, so I showed you the bottom land, and so this is the upper part. Daddy's got his bees up here. And then up there is 3 figs, which they got killed back from the cold weather. They're starting to come back there at the bottom a little. These 2 trees here are mulberry trees. And then this is the kiwi vines, and yes, you can grow kiwi in our area. We're pretty much, our climate's a lot like New Zealand's, and they grow a lot of kiwi. We've only got them off 1 year, but they were good. You harvest them in November, and it takes a few weeks for them to sweeten up, so really you're not eating them till January. These are blackberries. They're coming along. See, they're starting to form berries. Let's see. And then on down, you can see these are still all blackberry, rows of blackberries here. This here is peach trees, and we don't have any peaches this year because of the cold weather, killed all them. This is going to be our little area for our late tomatoes. We've just put 1 row out. We've got another one to set out a little bit later. And on down below the peach trees is the muscadines and scuppernong grapes. Several rows of those. And then the very first one down here is Concord grapes and some other kind of a seedless grape he's trying. I'm not sure what it was. And then these, they just set these out this year. This is our new blueberry patch. We're putting it on the upper land because the bottom land just didn't do good down there. And so these are the new baby blueberries. And down below them are the plum trees. No plums. Cold weather. And there's a sour cherry tree, and they're just about gone now. And some persimmons. And then there's some more Daddy's beehives down there. So that's it. We'll be seeing you soon.